How's it going, everyone? It is Andre Williams, and over here we talk stocks and we focus on one thing. Always protect your profits. And today we're going to be talking about SOFI. We know the Super Bowl is going to be going down on Sunday and it's going to be held at SOFI Stadium. On the Friday, though, we ended up seeing a big time pullback inside of the tech sector. And of course, SOFI was impacted, but was still able to finish green. So now for this coming week, I want to make sure you guys are prepared and you have a game plan. So I won't waste any more time. Let's jump into the agenda. If you're new to this channel, I just want to let you know we have timestamps down below inside the description. But if you're a shareholder, you're thinking about taking a position, I highly suggest you watch this full entire video. So the first thing we're going to go over is the technical analysis. We're going to be taking a look at the overall price action. We want to know support. We want to know resistance. We want to know what it looks like in the bearish case scenario and as well as in the bullish case scenario. And then we're going to go on Fintel, taking a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information. The reason why this is important because it does have an impact on the way the stock performs. And then we're going to be taking a look at the order flow distribution. We want to know the buying and the selling behavior on the retail side and as well as on the institutional side. And then when all of that is done, we'll be going into the final thoughts and as well as some more details. So let's get to it. So we're going to do a technical analysis on SOFI. Let's see how it performed on Friday. So it ended up closing at $12.40, being up 0.08%. On the low, it tested $12.29, and then on the high, testing $13.25. When we take a look at the volume stats on the day, you can see we traded at 76.947 million shares, and the average volume over 10 trading days is at 59.074 million shares. So we did have above average volume on the day, and it definitely did have an impact on how the stock performed. Now, when we take a look at our chart, which is the daily chart, you can see from the RSI down below, it is at 45.84. And then when we take a look at our moving averages, we are below the 200-day, the 100-day, the 50-day, and as well as the 21-day EMA. And what we can see here, SOFI is in a bear market. But one thing to be aware of, though, we've been seeing some strength as of late, of course, leading into the Super Bowl. As far as where we've been showing to have some support, you can see we tested right at $12.29, and we saw a high of $13.25. Keep in mind, as far as tech in the market on the Friday, it took quite the beating. So if we continue to have this going into next week, I don't see a rally happening. I can see us pulling back even further and start seeing if we could hold up right here at this $12 level. If unable to do this, then we could potentially pull all the way back here to around $11.70, and there we want to see what the stock could do from there. If things look bullish now and there's a turnaround coming off of that Super Bowl weekend, then I could see SOFI revisiting back to the $13 area. Keep in mind, they do have earnings that's going to be coming up apparently here on March the 1st. So again, some more momentum could be leading up to there, and that's where I could really see things getting interesting. If we could reclaim the 50-day right here at $14, it's $13.99 to be exact. So if we can get here, I could see a good amount of buyers want to come in, and we could hold support here. It's been a support area in the past. You've seen, even when I open up the chart a bit, right, we could see 14 has been a solid area of support. So if we can actually consolidate and gain some more momentum, then we can get closer to those analyst price targets that came out calling SOFI at around $18 a share. So let's move on to the short interest information. So we're going to take a look at the recent institutional ownership and short interest information for SOFI. As we scroll down further on the page, green rows indicate new positions while red rows indicate closed positions. So when we take a look at the highlighted filings, we're going to focus on the ones that are substantial. So we have Artisan Partners Limited Partnership that purchased just under 7 million shares. And then also we go down further, we have Farsa App Fondin that purchased just over 120,000 shares. We also have Advisory Research Inc. that purchased just under 50,000, as well as APG Asset Management that purchased over 22,500 shares. Also taking a look, I want to kind of bring some attention to this, where these are not new positions or closed positions, but JP Morgan and Chase increasing their positions by 122%, like just over that. So again, it kind of shows you institutions are very bullish on SOFI. You can also see this Redner's McVeigh Capital Management LLC that purchased just under 170,000 shares as well. And we can see this being a continuation, very noticeable. We have Healthcare of Ontario Pension Plan Trust Fund purchasing 130,600 shares. We have Agent Investment Management that purchased 169,174 shares. And you also see here for the State of Wisconsin Investment Board that purchased 339,884 shares. Like I said, very consistent. We do see some closed positions here, but institutions have been loading up. And then also when we take a look at the graph very quickly, we can see, look where the stock price of SoFi has been. As it's been trending down, institutions have been loading up. So this is one thing that you want to be aware of for December, January, and into February. Look at that compared to what we've seen previously. Remember, around these times, a lot of retail was buying in. And now that the stock has been depressed so much due to the conditions that we are in, institutions are loading up. So what does that tell you? It is not a bad idea for an entry, but again, not financial advice. When we take a look at the short interest, off-exchange short volume ratio is at 39.44%. And then for the dark pool short volume, it is just over 16 million shares. Scrolling down on the page, the short shares availability is at 10 million, updated 1 hour ago. And then for the short borrow fee rate, it is at 0.53%. When we take a look at the history of the short volume ratio, we can see for the close of February the 10th, it was at 37.76. And then for the close of the 11th, it was at 39.44. So what this tells us, SoFi does have short squeeze potential, and it's part of the reasons why there's a lot of volatility in this stock. So now let's go on to the order flow distribution. Now let's take a look at the order flow distribution for SoFi. So we see here on the inflow, it's at 173, and then on the outflow, it's 195. Taking a look at the breakdown, on the large, it was 0. On the medium, it was 119. On the small, it was 53.39. And then on the outflow side, on the large, it was 23.25. On the medium, it was 118. And then on the small, it was 53.36. Taking a look at the large scale orders in the last 5 days, you could see for February the 11th, so the Friday that just passed, it being that negative outflow of 23.25 million. And we also did see this on the 10th as well. Analyzing the numbers even further for the small scale orders that tend to represent the retail side, we had more buying than we had selling, but it was still fairly close. And then when we take a look at what happened on the medium, we had more buying than we had selling. But when we take a look at the large, which represents whales, institutions, and funds, it was a strong selling, being at 23.25 million versus 0 on the inflow side. And then when we take a look at the turnover ratio, it was at 9.54%. So again, this is up there, and it just shows us there's a good amount of traders going in and out of the play. Many are holding on to their positions, but this is a stock that is very liquid, and we're used to seeing this since it did have above average trading volume. So now let's go into the final thoughts, and we'll go over some more details as well. So for my final thoughts for SoFi in regards to the price action, what we want to see to the upside if we have momentum coming in from the Super Bowl is it getting to $14. If you can get to $14, I feel a lot more traders will jump into the play and want to push the price up even further. If we end up having a pullback, I'd want to see if we could hold up the $12 level, but there is a good chance if there's weakness, we could pull all the way back to $11.50 and even go lower than that. And the reason why I want to make sure you're aware of it is that the market conditions play a huge role. We have the 10-year treasury yield that is spiked well over 2%. So this is going to have an impact on tech stocks as a whole. And we already know there's been a good amount of weakness in the fintech sector due to the fact we've seen some recent earnings and they haven't been that great. So this is why I'm saying SoFi stock is beaten up quite a bit. They do have earnings that is coming up as well. So that is something you're going to want to mark on your calendar. According to TradingView, they say that earnings is supposed to be coming out on March the 1st. So just know that, because that might be a potential catalyst, but I'll make sure to keep you guys updated as we get closer to that date. Also, when we went on Fintel, taking a look at the short interest information, SoFi does have short squeeze potential. So this is why I'm saying if they're able to gain more attention during that Super Bowl, drawing the interest of more investors, come on Monday, if that buying pressure is there, then that's why I'm saying this stock could jump very quickly. And this is why you want to have a game plan and why I always emphasize it. And then when we took a look at the recent institutional ownership, we could see institutions have been loading up heavy on SOFI, especially since it had its big time dip inside of the market. They've been loading on shares while retail has been selling out. And this is why I say, if you have high conviction in the stock that you own, you should be buying up the dip, because that's what institutions are doing. They weren't buying a lot of shares when SoFi was having those big time spikes back in 2021. Keep in mind, it was a SPAC, and SPACs, again, they were attractive in the retail space, but not in the institutional area. But knowing how institutions are loading up while the stock is beaten down just kind of gives you a good idea. There is some potential upside here, and this would be a good reason why to do some further homework and as well as some more due diligence to see if this play is right for you. So let's see how this stock performs for the coming week. But one thing I can say for sure, it is going to be interesting. Let me know inside the comments if you're going to be watching the Super Bowl as well. We'll talk soon.